Hello, my name is Caroline Creech, and I'm going to talk to you about rotational grazing cattle. First off, what is rotational grazing? Rotational grazing is when you strip off sections of grass on paddocks so that cattle are not going to be overgrazing. This helps for the grass to renew energy reserves, rebuild vigor, deepen their root system, and give long-term maximum production. Herdsmen use rotational grazing so that their pastures last longer and they can get the most out of their grass. Managing a more intense rotational grazing system will show more production during rough growing conditions, greater yield potential, higher quality forage available, decreased weed and erosion problems, along with uniform soil fertility levels. A big plus to using rotational grazing is the economic benefits. Using rotational grazing, you will reduce costs on equipment, fertilizer, pesticides, and labor. This also helps with environmental benefits by reducing runoff. Rotating cattle can also help to improve the long-term pasture quality and fertility by allowing for a more even distribution of manure. Cattle spend 8 hours every day grazing. Cattle are only going to eat the grass that is best tasting and most nutritious. Cattle should be moved around to new paddocks depending on how much nutrition is left in the grass that they are currently on. This will also depend on how many cattle and the size of the paddocks, but it is important not to overgraze these paddocks. Fencing material will be needed to make these paddocks within the pastures. Some people use permanent fencing, but movable fencing is better so that you can adjust them. When using permanent, it would be just like the normal fencing that is used to make the big pastures. When you're going to make movable fencing, you are going to need some type of wire or tape, such as polyethylene or polywire, which have metal strands braided in them. Plastic or fiberglass posts are needed to hold the wire. These will be set out about 20 to 30 feet apart from one fence line to the other. The wire will be hooked to the fence line to bring electricity to it so that this will be hot just like the actual fence, so cattle don't cross or walk through it. In closing, rotational grazing is an important factor in raising cattle. This can not only save you money, but time and resources. It is important to be as efficient as you possibly can when raising livestock because of their value. Remember that paddocks are to be sensibly sized with how many cattle are going to be put on. Also, the appropriate fencing supplies are necessary to make sure that the cattle are going to stay in the paddock they are meant to be in at each time of grazing. Be sure not to overgraze each paddock, that will only hurt the grass more in the long run. Rotational grazing is going to add profit to your cattle by keeping them gaining more on the nutrition of the grass and your land by adding years to the grazing of the land.